show is a paid program.
Hey family, how you doing today? I'm so glad to have Mr. D. Lucas, national recording artist and saxophonist. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was reading your story and I have been blown away. How did we get started in jazz? I love your music.
Well, I tell you, it's an interesting story because I did not start music in general until I got out of college. Graduated from college, moved to Atlanta from Alabama, got into the corporate world, and that's when I cut my teeth into music with the saxophone. But at the same time, I was introduced to jazz way before then, but playing jazz was the first start of my career. So when I basically moved to Atlanta, graduated from college, and I got in jazz because that was one of the genres that I grew up on. But some of the artists that was in the genre was very influential. They laid a very great impression on me. So I was stunned. I said, "Yeah, I want to be a part of that right there."
Right. In doing so, looking at the time, let's start back in 1997 and let's talk about how you became the sideman in a local band.
1997. Wow. 1997. That was my very first opportunity to actually play live,
Hmm.
and there was a band based out of Atlanta, and the name of the band was called Between Nine and Seven. And I knew the band leader from back from the college days,
Hmm.
and he offered me an opportunity to be a part of this band. And what it allowed me to do was to learn stage presence and also get an opportunity to really cut my teeth on the instrument itself, the saxophone. So it was there where I learned to be a team player, learn how to play in a band, get some exposure because I was teaching myself along the way
Hmm.
on saxophone. So this was really a step up from internship, but it was more of a paid gig. So the experience came along with the education. So it was a great.
Absolutely. And looking at why you went into jazz, the genre, and things like that, really, what touched you about jazz? I know growing up on it, but something had to
Yeah,
touch you and say, you know what, I want this for longevity.
gotcha. Well, I tell you what, if we can rewind back, let's say during my childhood years, where I kind of got exposed to a lot of different genres, whether it
Hmm.
was gospel, blues,
Right.
jazz, hip hop, rock. All those genres were played pretty much on one platform back in the day.
Hmm.
But however, the question poses, why jazz? Well, the two phases of jazz. You have the traditional jazz that Miles Davis.
Right.
It's just the fact that people talked about Miles, Charlie Parker. They were the template of that music. But then along came contemporary jazz, and this is where it grabbed my attention. Those artists such as Grover Washington Jr., David
Hmm.
Sanborn, Ronnie Laws, they were taking fused music. They were taking tinges of R&B, tinges of pop, and tinges of jazz, and they were making it pretty much like a musical gumbo, pretty much.
Right.
So what it did, it made it impressionable because now you're hearing all these different flavors of jazz, of music,
Hmm.
and it was contemporary jazz. So that's what grabbed my attention was the fact they were taking all these different styles and making it and putting it into an instrumental platform. I said, okay, that's
That's it.
pretty hip.
Yeah.
That's pretty hip.
Yeah.
And if you can speak without speaking, which is what we mean by the instrumental part,
Yes.
allowing people to think and interpret what you're trying to say without you saying it.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. You mentioned some of those names and you've actually opened for a lot of the people that you were listening to. How did that feel? Running Laws being one of them.
Yes, where actually it just felt it was like a dream come true.
Right.
You always It's always a dream when you play alongside or on the same bill as the same people that your parents told you put the record on and play it in the house.
Right.
So that it's almost like coming full circle. However, you don't get too complacent. You just make it a learning curve
Yeah.
and show your appreciation from those that came before you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a journey, but it's also more room to grow to become one of them.
Absolutely. So many people that are at home now, and we talked about it a little bit because of COVID, the issues with
Mhm.
COVID. They have dreams too, you know. They've not always wanted to work. They didn't want to do corporate, but they had to because of, the finances for their families and things like that. But they still have those dreams. What would you say to those that have the dreams, maybe to go into music? What would you say to them being new artists?
It's never too late, and I am a product of that because I did not pick up my first instrument until I was 27. Because early on, I've always had the love for music, but I was more into sports. And then along came college. Then once I got out of college and I found a pretty much of a dormant period where it allowed me to pursue, and I went into the paint with it. I mean, I became very aggressive. I knew what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a great opportunity for me to pursue it. So I say all that to say this: it's never too late to learn what you really want to do and what you want to pursue.
Right.
It's never too
Right. We always put I think we always put a limit on ourselves, and we're saying we're 45, we're 52, we're 62, or whatever the age is. And I'm glad you
late.
said it's just never too late to do what you really want to do.
Right. And especially in the creative world because being creative has no boundaries.
Right.
It has no boundaries on ideology. It also has no uh, boundaries on age. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as long as you're breathing, as long as you can think, therefore
Yes.
you create.
Absolutely, in doing so, and we've just mentioned a few people: Boney James, Peebo Bryson, Mickey Howard. I mean, all of these people you paid, you've opened for.
Yeah, actually, I performed on the same bill with them, and I have so much respect for them because they are great artists in their own right.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's a dream come true. It comes full circle, but it also allows me to be that Boney James one day to someone else.
Right, right. I'm glad you said that. Music is 10% of whatever it is. And then this 90% business. Most fail on the business side because they're creative. They're creative. But the representation they may not have.
Right. Those are facts.
Yeah.
We can really elaborate a little deeper into why a lot of the artists over the years or historically have failed is because a lot of the time they spent most of their time creating, like you said,
Right.
but also it also allowed representation to speak for them.
Right.
So they, along the way, didn't take the initiative to learn that process. And they probably felt they didn't have to because they had someone doing it for them.
Right.
Oh, this day coming where one day it's going to have to be a DIY moment,
Mm-hmm.
a moment. But whether it became this part or not, it was always good to know the business side because it's always good to know what one hand is doing with the other hand.
Right.
So
Right.
it's about your self protection. And I tell everyone, learn the business because just like anything else in life, it's about ownership. And
Right.
you can't own anything if you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Especially with contracts, especially with,
Mhm.
things like that. And investing in yourself. Invest in
Yes,
yourself. We don't do that
yes,
many times. We don't invest in ourselves.
right. I think investing in yourself is the first start. And believe it or not, when someone else see you investing in yourself, you get the help from someone else because they're
Yes.
seeing that for yourself. Now, that was one of the things that I would say that I was very fortunate along the way growing into this business is that when I was working in the corporate world and also developing the music side as an artist, well, I was invested in myself along the way.
Right.
Uh, that kind of propelled me to learn both sides of the track, the
Mm-hmm.
creative, where I was able to pay for good producers,
Right.
pay for to have my records pressed, pay for the licensing. So it also allowed me the business side where if I have to book my own shows, I know how to communicate with the powers that be
Right.
to create those shows.
Right. Right.
A lot of it comes with investment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing too, and I love this about you, you also have educated yourself extensively, like you were saying. If you do have to book your show, if somebody says, no, come on and fly down here, we'll take care of you when you get here. No, 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 no. No. That's not gonna work.
No, no. Again, you have to really know the business side and
Yes.
how the needs on both sides. Now,
Yes.
once you understand my needs, I understand your needs, but
Right.
I need for you to know my needs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can halfway, then yes. Because in today's game, everyone needs to win. It's not
Right.
one side.
Right.
And in order for both sides to win, we have to know how it works.
Right. That's the key. That's the key. And then
Yes.
educating each other sometimes, giving that information to someone that maybe is new and you've been in the game for a long time. Many
Yes.
times we try to find that out from others and they just don't tell us.
Right. That's a very tough situation to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's becoming better. It's opening up a lot better now. I
Right.
think it's very important that we share our knowledge among others because if they win, we're winning.
Absolutely.
If I win, they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
So because they may be in a situation that I'm not in, that
Mm-hmm.
can pull me for an opportunity, and
Right.
if they know the information, they know how to go about doing it, then it helps me because it's all about resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about networking. And we all have different networks. We all have different resources.
Right.
So if my resources are working and you are not part of the resource, then I can pull you in on my resource and
Right.
vice versa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just don't know why we won't collaborate and unite. The unity
Well,
part of it.
yeah, well, that a lot of it has to be with that's a selfish thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that has to be broken because we all we all have a tendency to think, well, we don't want someone to and when I say we all, just
Right.
in general,
I got you. Mm-hmm.
we're afraid that someone is going to get more than the other.
Exactly. And it's enough for everyone.
It's enough, and it's been proven. It's been proven.
Right.
It's really a matter of just sharing the wealth and helping others, and that's what we're really here for at the end of the day, is being human servants for others.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that so much. As we're talking about things, let's talk about, and we've already talked about a few things of what you've learned along the way, but for others to know what are some of the things that you've learned along the way that would help them.
Um, well, we've definitely number one is learn the business,
Yes,
uh,
definitely.
learn the craft. But one thing that I definitely would like to say is study the trends. Nothing lasts forever, and know how to adjust.
Hmm.
If nothing taught us anything about adjustments, it's the pandemic.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The pandemic really taught us how to adjust
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
because we never thought it would get to this point.
Right.
We didn't. We really didn't think it would get to this point, but here we are.
Hmm.
And what do we? Uh, so that was one of the things. Nothing stays the same. So you gotta constantly learn the trends and know how to change
Hmm.
along with good trends, I should say.
Hmm.
Just know how to adapt.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that with COVID. COVID hit us a year and a half ago, almost now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've looked at the fact of what have we learned after it hit. You know,
Yes.
a lot of people were like, I mean, they were depression setting in,
Mm-hmm.
losing jobs, losing of course, their income, family members lost, you know, through death or even, just sickness and things like that, just a loss.
I think we all experienced something of that nature. We all went through. We all lost some loved ones, some close friends, family members. That was very devastating. But the fact is that once COVID put everything to a halt, no one could go anywhere. No one could do anything. That was the test. Okay, what do we do now?
Right.
And that is where we really learn a lot about ourselves, because it wasn't all bad. There are some silver linings in the pandemic. I know personally for me, it allowed me to see some things that I was allowing not to happen. Like on the recording side, Cam. The recording side, when you tour, you try to get as much time in between your tour dates to record for your next album. Where the pandemic shut everything down where you couldn't tour. Now you got plenty of time to be creative. You can record all you want. And to be quite honest, this record that I actually recorded during the pandemic, the current record, the time is now, is my best record because, and I can be very subjective with that because some of my fans may say they like all my music, but looking pound for pound, it's my best record because it allowed the best creativity because I took my time. I chose what I wanted, when I wanted, and who all I wanted on the project. And I recorded a song, I looked at it, I analyzed it. If I didn't like it, I'll go back and recheck it. I had time to do that.
Right.
So that was just one thing. Around the house, just being around the house, it allowed me to really pay attention to things around the house and give it more appreciation. Be it that it was my family, but it could be things around the house that I needed to take care of. Just it could be yard work. It could be anything that you just continue to neglect.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it because it slowed me down. And once I saw, wow, this should have been done years ago.
I know, right?
Right. So it was a silver lining during this period.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. We all had that moment that we said, oh, they really did look right. We're able to look at it and see this should have been done years ago.
Right. So hopefully I don't ever get back into that mode again. So it definitely gave me a start to go ahead and move forward and do things and don't put things off like it's like we're used to us doing so.
Absolutely. One other thing that you had mentioned, and I think we talked about it a little bit, and a lot of people when they first start or they get into it, they want to know how much money they're going to make, right? Instead of saying, hey, I need the experience. And that's where you were talking about internship, we were talking about that.
Right. Well, in terms of how much money, there is really not a dollar amount on what's considered successful. Right. And because everyone has their own value on what's considered success. I know for me, when you start out, the money would come, but you have to build yourself first.
Right.
The branding. You can be the greatest musician, but if your brand is weak, that can affect your dollar value. So in my case, I was inexperienced. So I can't demand a certain dollar amount. I have to work and build a brand first. Get the education, get the internship, get the experience, build a base, build a fan base, because it's all about the numbers. It's all about the quality. And all that's packaged together to determine your dollar amount. But you can't go in there commanding something that you don't have a foundation.
Absolutely. Let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages. The Cam Hill Show. If you'd like to advertise your business or become a sponsor, contact the Cam Hill Show at gmail.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months plus bonus cash. Old Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Who, where, when? When it comes to COVID vaccines, Texans need reliable information. That's because despite the number of shots available, millions of Texans remain unvaccinated. AARP is working to protect Texans 50 plus by giving you the facts and the latest information about the vaccine at aarp.org/txvaccine. To schedule your shot, call 833-832-7067.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, thank you so much for coming back, Mr. D. Lucas. D. Lucas, somebody was asking the question, where did Remembrance come from? They love that song.
Oh, yeah, Remembrance is really a tribute to the late, great saxophonist George Howard. I did a tribute. That's the album that was actually my solo debut record, and it was just in honor of George Howard. He was very influential, not only with me, but a lot of great artists that you hear today.
Right.
In smooth. He was very influential. He passed away prematurely of colon cancer in the mid-90s, and he left such an indelible mark on the industry. But the reason why I did that record is because after his death and between the release of the solo debut, I rarely heard much of his music on radio. And I don't know the reason behind that, but it seems like it wasn't a lot of acknowledgement or homage paid to him. And I said, well, if I'm not hearing it or if I'm not seeing anyone doing any tributes, then I just want to pay homage to him and put it out there. And that's how Remembrance came about.
Everybody loves that one, and they love Standing Room Only. The whole CD, I think they love.
That's the third album from the Mo Better Recordings label, and it came out in 2010. I don't know why a lot of people like that record, but it was a good record. I mean, I had some great producers on there. One of the Grammy producers right here in Atlanta, Phil Davis. He did a song on there. Phil Davis produced. He did some production for Bron and Boney James' album "Shake It Up." But a fantastic producer. But that was a good record. That was a fun record. Wow, man, that record it took me back. Okay, it seems like.
It took you back. Glad you mentioned the Mo Better recordings. Let's go back to that. That was a record label that you had, right? Originally, when you first started.
Right. Yes, that was the label that kind of offshoot all my music. I wanted to build a label for all my musical catalog. So I was able to do that, and I put Remembrance on there. And there was another album that came in between Remembrance and Standing Room Only. It was Something to Ride To. Actually, that is one of the biggest selling album that I've had to this very day. But those 3 albums were cataloged up under Mobile Recordings. And like I said, I wanted something that I wanted to create ownership. I wanted to establish ownership with everything I do and just leave a legacy.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that about ownership. We had talked a little bit about kind of expand on what's the reasoning behind it and why it's so important to people, especially now.
Um, Ownership, it inherits a lot of hidden value.
Hmm.
Uh, you don't know the value of your work now,
Right.
but you don't know what the value is going to be in the long game, as we
Hmm.
say, down the road. As your brand grows, your the needs for your music will probably grow as well. And if you have the ownership, then you can reap the benefits,
Hmm.
the royalties. There's more of the pie that you own. But when you are under the label, of course, there becomes fractions of ownership elsewhere, and therefore sometimes depending on your negotiation, a lot of artists are left without any ownership at all. It's owned by
Right.
the record label.
Hmm.
So therein lies the need for your ownership is to have something that you can leave behind and that can inherit a lot of value down the road.
Hmm. Hmm. The reason I said that is because I've heard so many artists during COVID that could not tour, you could not
Mhm.
travel, or you could go anywhere. During this time, they're living off of royalties. Many of them are doing it right now, and that's the only way for their survival. Because, of
Right.
course, we're not getting 1099 and W-2s and going to work in corporate America. This is livelihood.
That's right. And see, by them having the royalties, they position themselves.
Right.
And if that this right this is a living example on the business end.
Yes.
Set it up and see the people the artists that's reaping the benefits during the pandemic. That was established years ago.
Yes. Yes.
It was established years ago, so now they see the benefits.
Mm-hmm. 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 And not only, and I'm not only talking to the artists, the producers, whoever, the writers, each of them has
Yes,
to make sure that they're on their own project and make sure that it's
yes,
documented.
yes, absolutely, because everyone has a stake in the game,
Yes.
and everyone's entitled to that portion of value.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are the things that's really coming to the forefront now is people really getting what they deserve.
Right.
So, and that's a good thing. So, and back to what we said earlier, education. The
Education.
more you know, the more you can do.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we've lost. Many of us have
Yeah,
been lost on that business side of creativity, great, but we've lost so much and ending up losing, especially during COVID, because there was no safety net.
right, right. So hopefully, with that said, that we don't ever get put in that position again.
Right. Absolutely.
So
I agree with that.
it's definitely a learning curve.
Absolutely. You have a new label that's out. Let's talk about it.
ODL Music.
Mm-hmm.
That is label. Actually, I established that label in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and I kicked it off with the album "The Sweet Spot," which was produced by Bob Baldwin, and then of course I released "Going Left" in 18 and leading up to the current record. And why did I change? Is that over the years you learn what to do,
Mm-hmm.
you learn what not to do.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically it was a growing pain. Some things that I want to change up and move forward, and also just wash out some things and start anew. And basically, this record label really identifies where I'm heading, not only as an artist but also as a business person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We had talked about where does a lot of your music come from? Where is it derived from? What were you thinking when you did it? A lot of people.
Um, well, a lot of it comes from the heart because the way I was developed as a musician, by being self-taught,
Yes.
lies trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from your masters, such as Chocolate Park. You feed from those as a template. But a lot of things that if you're taught, then you're going to try to figure things out on your own, and it creates a certain persona in your music.
Mm-hmm.
So it creates uniqueness, and basically it's honest, and it shows in the music. And I've gotten compliments a lot of times. Excuse me. When I perform on stage, you see the honesty. It's sincere.
Right.
It's not copycat.
Mm-hmm.
It's sincere. So that's a compliment in itself, and I really wear that with a badge of honor. It's the fact that my music is honest, and I just hope that it translates to the listeners out there in the audience.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, people have asked the questions, what are some of your fondest memories at some of the festivals that you've gone to? Because you're getting ready to start on some new ones.
Yeah, well, the fondest memories. I mean, every festival is always a treasure. Why? Because you meet. It's almost like a reunion.
Yes.
Meet your fellow musicians, and sometimes it goes beyond the stage. Sometimes the greatest memories of what we talk about behind stage in that tent. It's always like catching up, and just trying to fellowship and just talk about music, just talk about life in general. And then when we go back home, we are recharged, ready to go
Right.
again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really inspiring to really get a chance to hear some of your cats play. It's not about you, first of all. It's about just what we give to the people.
Right. Right. Yeah. I know virtually, all this time, the virtual, concerts and things like that, but just to have that synergy with the people. People, you
Mhm.
hear them, you see them, you feel them. It's a difference. Every artist tells me it's different.
Yeah, excuse me. I rarely did virtual.
Mm-hmm.
I did some live streams on my live show, but I understand the feeling of playing live versus virtual. As an artist,
Uh-huh. Right.
there's like live. There's nothing like human interaction to feel those people
Mm-hmm.
in your audience. However, on the other side, the virtual side, there is a discipline that you have to manifest. You have to pretend someone is out there.
Right.
So you pretend someone is there, and they are there. It's just they're not in your physical presence.
Right.
It's a good thing as well. So it's a discipline thing, and it's not going away. So that's something that we have to embrace,
Mm-hmm.
and a win-win for everyone. So it's okay. I have no problems with it. If you ask me what's my preference,
Mm-hmm.
every day and twice on Sunday is live.
That's what everybody says.
I like to play live because it's just the experience, not
Mm-hmm.
only for me, but for the people that came, that paid their money to come see me play.
Right.
And then after the show, I get a chance to talk to them. I get a
Right.
chance to meet and greet them, and then they go home with something tangible from me as an artist.
Right.
So that is ultimate. So it's more to it than just playing a gig, getting paid to do it, but also smiles on people's face.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many people have said that same thing because I'm saying, even as fans like myself, just saying that, just seeing you, hearing you, I can go to one festival or one concert and it'd be so much different than the other one, you know?
Right. Yes, it's very different because of what we do.
Right.
Every environment is different, and I mean, and plus the diversity, it feeds up. The energy just feeds differently.
Right.
It can be something as simple as the weather.
Mm-hmm.
If the weather's nice, you're gonna feed a little different than when you about to get on stage and the storm is about to come.
Right. Right.
So the energy is just different, but you play accordingly.
Yeah.
You play accordingly. People play; they pay to come see you play, and it's up to you to get down. You gotta throw
Exactly.
down.
Exactly. You've had so many things that you've worked with. so many people, I should say. And I was surprised. I saw the Manhattans on there.
Yeah, actually, that was I was honored to actually be on the same bill with the Manhattans back at my alma mater at the University of North Alabama during the WC Henry. That was an experience because once again, that was one of those legends
Right.
that I grew up listening to. That my father told me, "Hey, put that record on," and I grew up listening to them. So it was just an honor to be in their presence, to play on the same stage with them, and just give it my best, and just to also witness greatness.
hmm hmm Coming from the age of your 20s and now up to date now, as you're getting older, and you're just saying to yourself, you know what, the music is getting better, I'm getting better. One person has asked, why the saxophone?
Um, Great question, and here's why. Because that wasn't my first. That wasn't my first love
hmm
of the instrument. My love was bass.
Mm,
Why? Because as a kid, I was a funketeer. I love Parliament, Bootsy,
right.
Rubber. I was just infatuated with the bass. So I was into the funk bands with Cameo, Confunction,
hmm
uh, all those guys, man. They had nice bass players. But anyway, what led to the saxophone was Grover Washington Jr., Ronnie Laws,
hmm
David Sam, George Howard. I tend to mellow out when I got in college.
hmm
When I got in college, and a lot of my friends, they were into the contemporary jazz thing. So I got on board with it. And I like piano. I love guitar. I love keys. But it was something about what Grover and Ronnie, what they were able to do. They were able to take R&B songs and make them instrumental, and it sounded like a voice.
Uh-huh.
I said, okay,
Right.
that's what I want right there. Yeah.
And it's not easy though. That instrument is
No,
not an
well,
easy instrument.
well, I'm gonna say this, and I think I speak for all musicians. No, no instrument is easy
Right. Now that's true.
because
Yeah.
just when you think the saxophone is very difficult, you got to think about the right brain, left brain when it comes to piano.
hmm
You got to think about the drums. Now, you just really think about the drums. He's driving everything. He's the pocket.
Right.
He has to think all those different things going on musically with other instrumentations on that stage. But if he's out of pocket, everything else is out of pocket.
hmm
So not easy. And keys, you got left hand, right hand.
hmm
And still to this very day, I'm amazed on how the coordination of left hand, right hand works.
hmm hmm And,
So
and then
every instrument is definitely appreciative, and it has its own uniqueness of difficulty.
right. And then you see someone that does several instruments, and you're saying, "Wow."
That that, that right there, that's some insane stuff. But that's very insane. But I have to say that's all from God. That's
hmm
from the man above. That's a gift from God.
Yes.
I even have to also say the fact that I was able to teach myself to a great degree into where I am today. I can't credit that myself. That's a gift from within, man. That's a
Right.
gift from upstairs.
hmm
That's been given. It was there all along. It just took me to pull it out by
Right.
playing.
Yeah.
It was
Absolutely.
all along. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have some parents that have children right now that have a gift, right?
Yeah.
And they keep telling their children, the children are like, oh man, I'm just gonna go play music. I'm gonna play in a band. I'm not gonna go to school, things like that. Let's talk to
Right.
parents and see what they would say because, of course, they see them on stage and they said, oh, I can just go straight and just do that.
Right. Well, you have to show them the upside, but you have to show them the reality. You have to show them the downside of what can happen
Yeah,
if it fails,
right.
if it doesn't work out, because it's just like you have to look at it this way. The same way musicians have to look at it, just like an athlete. Only so many get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And those that get drafted, how long do they stay in the league?
Yeah,
And when their days are over, what do?
right.
You just like that. What do you have to fall back on? Do you have an education to fall back on? Because it takes a platform to take you somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's just say that child wants to do music. Okay, do you really understand how long you can play? Do you understand how long you can stay in this game? You don't know. That's
Right.
the thing. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you can't do it no more? What would you do?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have something in place ready to go.
Right.
It also helps if a musician can talk about his upside and his downside, because in today's game, kids, they are visual. They have to see it.
Yes.
They see the experience. It goes beyond talking. They have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. Let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages. The Cam Hill Show. If you'd like to advertise your business or become a sponsor, contact the Cam Hill Show at gmail.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month. Both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter, Cadillac.com.
Who, where, when? When it comes to COVID vaccines, Texans need reliable information. That's because despite the number of shots available, millions of Texans remain unvaccinated. AARP is working to protect Texans 50 plus by giving you the facts and the latest information about the vaccine at aarp.org/txvaccine. To schedule your shot, call 833-832-7067.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, thanks so much for coming back. We're with Mr. D. Lucas. Let's talk again about some of the things that you've done with festivals and things like that. Someone is asking, how would they become a part of the festivals?
Well, I think to become part of a festival, you have to start or contact the festival promoter.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
depends on what area of expertise or what area you want to specialize in. But it all starts with the festival promoter. Then it needle down to sponsorship, or
Mhm.
depends on what you want to do. Because there's a lot of things that goes on into a festival.
Now they're
Yeah,
opening up. Now the world is opening up a little bit. You have a few of the festivals that you're going to be at. Let's talk about a few of the upcoming events you got.
Yep. And festival wise, I have the Myrtle Beach Jazz Festival, which is later in the year, October 16th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But before that, September 25th, I will be in Stockton, California as part of the Stockton Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
So those are 2 festivals that I have coming up. And in between that, I have some shows about to kick off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're ready for the world to open up. Everybody else is too.
Yes and no. I want to make sure that everyone is still safe
Yes.
and social distancing. I'll be a little bit more comfortable if we get those numbers down a little bit more.
Absolutely.
But I am definitely looking to get back to start performing, people getting back to a sense of normalcy, and then of playing, but of course, still operate within the guidelines of social distancing protocol
Hmm.
until all can get these numbers down because that COVID is still real out there.
It is definitely real, and I don't think a lot of people feel that. I don't think they know that it's real.
Right. I don't understand it, but um, we'll know if it gets out of hand again.
We
But
will know that, huh?
right. And I get to that point. But if we continue to do what we're supposed to do and have a sense of discipline and follow the science, I cannot stress that enough. We can conspire another way, but the bottom line is this: if they put vaccines to regulate you to do this and do that, if you can't fly or take an airplane without vaccination, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to really
Yeah,
do what you have to do. And looking at and let's going back to everything you've done, let's talk to people about some of the things that for them as dreamers. We've talked to them before a little bit, but as far as them going forward right this moment, because this is the time they need to go forward, whatever's going to go.
it is. I just think it's basically this is a time to really dig deep and ask yourself, what do you want to do, and pursue it. Time waits for no one,
Right.
but you can do anything you want to do, but you have to put in the work. It's just that simple. You really have to put in the work. Don't procrastinate what you want to do because you don't want to be one of those persons that say, I coulda, shoulda, would have done it. No, just do it because life is short.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How can people get in touch with you and how can they get your music? How can they purchase it?
Absolutely. You can start number one by going to my official website at deelucas.com, deelucas.com. That is where you can get the physical CDs. If you're still into the CD thing, the physicals are there directly on my website and they come autographed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Pandora, all of those, the usual suspects, they're available. And of course, downloads Amazon, iTunes. But of course, on social media, Facebook, Twitter, IG, I'm on it. So
He is, and he
just hit
responds.
7.
That's him responding. So it's not somebody else. That's him.
Okay.
I appreciate you so much, friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity. Also, his events are on there too. You know, things that you will see him at.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And all my events on dlucas.com.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon, friend. The Cam Hill Show, 12:30, 1:30 Central Standard Time. Thank you so much. Talk to you then. Bye.